Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. I am totally ready for Birdsong Love Fest week. This is the primary week where we're having the fabric tour. So I have my lovely Sloan Zone mug that our ambassador Barbara sent me. Mwah, mwah. Ah, it is just gorgeous. Okay, before we kick it off though, it is also donut week. Donut week. So yes, I had to go get a donut, and this is on my grandmother's piece of Fiesta ware. It's the only Fiesta ware piece of hers that I have. I don't even remember her using Fiesta ware, but this came from her house. Maybe it's the only piece that she owned, but I got a donut to celebrate Donut Week. Does that mean we need a donut every day for the Birdsong Love Fest? Maybe. It would not be a bad idea. So we have the tour, which we're going to talk about first for my fabric line with my friends. Then we have Hello Birdie, and kicking off the nature walk. So first, the tour. Every day, starting today through Saturday, you'll visit 2 of my friends. And so today, first, you're going to go visit Hillary Jordan, who is works with Aurifil Thread. She is a part of their team, but she is also a designer on her own, and she has done something totally adorable. You have to follow her because she's always finding really good things to share, and she's always sewing. So she's got tons of stuff going on all the time and shows you really good nifty tips and tricks. Then we have Beth Helfner of Eva Page Quilts, and Beth is just a brilliant designer. She is super fun. If you follow her, you are going to, she always makes me laugh. She always has something fun to say, a twist on things, but she also is very, very clever. There is some techniques that she has, and you can check her books out. I'm sure she's going to show you that today. That is just pretty amazing. So she's figured out this clever way for doing some techniques, and you're just going to have to go look. So go visit the 2 of them today. Both of them you can enter in the running. So every stop, enter for a layer cake of Birdsong. So be sure you're doing that. Okay, for the Hello Birdie, let's talk about that first. This is our 3rd week on the project. We'll wrap it up next week. We want to sew it together. So what I did is I sewed it in 4 chunks. I wanted to show you how that looks, so that if you didn't want to sew each as a long row, sewing them in units is maybe a little bit easier for some of you to handle. Maybe you would enjoy that more. I actually find it fun. I like doing it like this in chunks. So this is a 3x3, a 2x3, another 2x3 the other direction, and then a 2x2 of blocks. Then I just have to sew those. You pretty much have just one longer seam then to deal with on the quilt. Next week I will do the inner border, like the stripe. I will put that on and then pick a border fabric. So I'm going to put a little border on it from one of the prints, one of the blueprints. Imagine that. And then decide which fabric for the backing. Okay. So excited for Nature Walk. I am going to tilt the quilt a little bit here. Well, let me just move the camera. That would be probably easier. There we go. Move the camera. So I've got the blue one that is made, and we have the panel, which is the center part, and then any of the whoops, here on each side there's 6 of the squares come from the panel. Now I am going to be sewing the pink one. So let me show you that. Here we go. Here's the pink one. And I have some tips for you. I'm going to talk about the panel, about how to handle these very large half square triangles. And even just like this, it would just be perfect as a little baby quilt. So sweet. Okay, so let's take a look at the tips for getting Nature Walk going to get our center star. Let's make the center star. So exciting. This could be a baby quilt all on its own, this great big center star. It is so cute. Okay, we have the panel, and we're going to talk about trimming the center block of this for the center of the star, but I want to show you the other fabrics and the other things I am going to use. So next is a big old ruler, big square ruler. This is a 20.5-inch ruler. I highly recommend that you get one. If you don't have one, just don't buy some fabric for a little bit and get one of these great big rulers because they are useful. I use them a lot actually when I'm trimming the quilt, because it takes this whole big surface and gives me that 20-inch on either side, but it lays down and holds down the whole quilt when I'm trimming to put binding on, trimming the quilt. But we need it for the center because it is so much easier to have a big square like this than to try and use a bunch of little squares. Also, the fabric we are using for the center. This is the little border around the panel, and then the star points are made with these fabrics, 2 of the pinks and the background, and then this is the corners that go and sort of frame it. Oops, 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 oops. I picked up the wrong green fabric. This is the green that we're using, not the green that you're going to see in some of the half square triangles. I only made 2, so I just had to cut these bright greens. That was a oops. So first we will address the panel, and then the rest is just making big half square triangles. So that's easy peasy. Okay, on the panel for this particular quilt, for my fabric line Birdsong, the panel is a square, and we are going to bring it down a bit and just work with getting the first row of flowers. And then after that will be this pink strip next to it. And the reason why I think Wendy designed it like that, because I would probably have done the same, is that way when you have the edge of the star point against here, it doesn't blend in. But you could just cut with both of these, and then the edges of your star point will touch that fabric. So if you want to do that, you can, but I'm going to use the strip, the separator strip, which means I have to trim it so that I just, so that I have the right size, but it's not as easy as just going all the way to the outside. So if you were doing a 20-inch square, which would be no section like this, no strip around it, then you would just cut around the whole outside with all of these. But you are going to blend into those other fabrics. So Wendy has us doing an 18.5-inch strip. And what I want to do is mark where the 18.5 is on this opposite side of the ruler, so that I don't get messed up thinking about what I'm looking at. So I got a new package of washi tape. This is just like cute tape. Washi tape is made to remove. So you have, this is the package this one came in. It was called Prairie. Now I want a tape color that I can see. So if I use the pink on here, the pink is just going to blend right into the fabrics. Same with the sort of these 2 florals. So I'm going for the teal one because I can see that very nicely. And I'm just going to take the teal strip and take it at the 18.5. Here we go. So that I know where it is along here while I'm trying to line it up, because I have to get it lined up so that I can trim. So I'm just going to do another 18.5-inch here on that line. There we go. This gives me a much bolder visual for where I am on the pattern of the fabric. Okay, so I'm basically trying to center around so that this first round of flowers is all in the 18.5. And if you like, if it's easier, which it might be even on camera here, is to go all the way out to the end of the ruler. Okay, there we go. We'll get some more tape on here. Lots of tape, lots of cute tape. Now we have the whole edge here. So I am going to have a little bit of overhang on all sides from the edge of that first ring of flowers, and it looks like maybe 1/4 of an inch will be what I'm doing. So you're just sort of manipulating your ruler until you get there, and then you just go ahead, and I am going to cut just from, I'm not going to cut from the outside edge here, I'm just going to cut here and then go around. Okay, what do we got down there? Yep, just double checking that I like it, and go out here to where the white is, you know, to this, you can't see that there. There we go, out to here, which then I will just go across. So I can just throw that edge over there, throw this edge over here. Now I am going to rotate the panel and do the other two sides because that's just more comfortable for me cutting wise. So then I also can double check again where I am with things. And for this side, I want to just take these little small panels off. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut over here and get rid of that. Hope I got tape on there. Okay, so this is a strip of small panels. Now I have my center panel again, and I'm checking. Looks good. So I am at 18.5, and now it's at the edge of the fabric. So the 18.5 I'm going to nestle the edge of that panel right in there so that it's even, and then check my other side. So yes, I'm a little bit, I could actually shove it a little bit to the right if I wanted, over to this side, so that I have a little bit more flour in. That's why I'm checking it. Rather than just going all 4 sides at once, I do 2, and then that gives me a little room to sort of adjust if I like, and then do the other 2. Here we go. So I now have my center panel with the birds. Ta-da! Look at this. Okay, from here, the little rim will go around. So I will be cutting the strips and I will sew those on so that I'll have a little frame all the way around the bird panel. Okay, before we talk about half square triangles, I just have to show you up close my favorite panel of the whole thing with the little, look at this, the butterflies, the heart with the smiley face, the little balloon. Oh, that's my favorite one. I need to take that one and just make like a little mat so that I can enjoy it, because I do have another panel, so, or maybe 2 or 3. So speaking of panels, there's some questions about, you know, you will buy panels that are not quite as straight. And for those of you who are highly detailed, that tends to make you insane. So we had a question come up out on my community page, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan at Facebook, and the link is down below for that, so that you can go read all the different things that people do to shore up their panel. Let me just give you the one from our ambassador, Brenda, because I believe that she really nailed it as far as, I think, how you can approach this. And think about it, if you've ever blocked a sweater, like, you know, a sweater, like a knit sweater or something, and you've washed it, and you know you just don't wash a knit sweater and throw it in the dryer. You need to lay it flat, sort of get it into shape and let it dry like that. Well, Brenda said, and I think this is fabulous, and you could now talk about it a little bit more, but let me just read what she said first. She does pre-wash the fabric, so she gets it wet, pre-washes it, but she does not put it in the machine and dry it. She doesn't dry it at all. So she takes the wet spun, I assume she's spinning it so that it's not dripping wet. You'll get a lot of the water out, so spin it. Then she squares it up on her ironing board. She has a grid on her ironing board, so she can put that down. You can buy you know, fabric grid. Maybe you can buy an ironing board with a grid on it. So she puts that on there, and then she lets it dry. And what she's doing is she's sort of taking the wet fibers of the fabric. The fabric is wet. It can manipulate now. You can sort of stretch it a little bit here or there and get it into the square so that it is now square or rectangle aligned up with the grid. Now you may want to trim it first, like if I'm doing this block, you know, I may have wanted to, you know, sacrifice that outer edge of flowers. I don't want to wet this like this and try to do it. You need extra. You will trim it down after it's dry. Don't do this with the exact size. You need to trim you need to wet your panel and block it oversized from what the final size will be. And that's super important because you'll just mess it up. So I would make it take it bigger, have used out to the second row of flowers, and then blocked it, get it square, and let it dry, and then press it. because your fibers, when they're wet, you can manipulate them. You can do this, actually, bonus tip, you can do this with a wet quilt that is not square. If your whole quilt is not square, get it wet, lay it flat, get all the corners square, either using big rulers like this on top of it, T-square like for, you know, from the shop, something that you can make it square, and then let it dry. So like for the panel, I could put this on top of the panel that's damp and pull it so that it gets to the size that I want, and then let it dry. So I would first see what you can do without going through all that. So you might have no problem. Your panel might have enough extra around the edges, see, like mine does, has white around the edges, so that you do have some manipulation room, that everything's, you know, it's not super tight there. You have a little bit of extra room, so you might just be able to work everything without having to block it. So those are the tips for blocking it. Let's make some giant half square triangles. Now we'll switch to a smaller square ruler, which is a 12.5-inch square ruler, to cut the 11-inch squares so that we can make our 10.5-inch squares, 10-inch finished half square triangles for the big star points. So what I'm doing is cutting fabric. So I have already 2 of the larger pink with the birds, and then 2 of the green, which are the 4 corners. I've got 6 of the background white, and then now I need 2 of this pink for 2 of the other star point corners. So I've got all the fabric over here. I tend to just use this ruler when I only need to cut 1 strip, which I've already done, but I'll show you that I just do this. I have the ruler set here, and then I just cut and slide the ruler up. Particularly since with the half square triangles, we are going to trim them so that I don't have to be super accurate, because I know that there's just going to be a little bit trimmed off. So now that I have all of the squares done, I will make the half square triangles 2 at a time, just like I always do, but I'll come back and show you squaring them up, you know, trimming them up to the 10.5-inch, because I don't have a specialty ruler for that because they're so big. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. I pressed the square to get my center line, so then I just sewed on either side of it. You can of course draw a line with like a iron away pen, a Frixion pen, but I just went ahead and pressed the square. Now I can go ahead and use my ruler to scoot it, you know, like cut and then scoot up and cut, but for this I would rather have the whole length, so that I'm not going to accidentally shift and cut into the block. I don't know, I just always have that fear. I've never done that, but this is safer. All right, at this point, we now want to open it up and press it, because I don't have a specialty ruler big enough to come on here and trim the half square triangles. So I will press it. It's pressed, and now I have the 12.5-inch ruler. I want to read the markings in the 1/2-inch size, which on the Creative Grids is in the black dots. So I want to be lining up the 10.5, and there's not much to trim. So it is going to be a very slim trim. So you want to just be very careful and get it right where it needs to be with this on the diagonal. Don't be shifting it over any, just get it right on the diagonal, and then there'll be just a tiny little bit that you trim off both sides. So I will trim off the right and then the top, and then I will rotate the block now and trim the other 2 sides. It is very tiny. You can see they're just a tiny little trimmings. Okay, 10.5, and there's a little bit here and a little bit on the top. Okay, so now these are also directional. So like the birds here on this one, you know, they're going, if you want the birds faced up, or if you want like some of the flowers faced up, then you do need to take a look at your directional fabrics and the quilt, so that you rotate your half square triangles before you sew them. So I'm going to take a look at that before I do the other 2, so I know which way to angle and get it right. You audition it by having the square together, and then you just fold it back and you go, okay, now I see which way it is. Otherwise it might have had to be folded this way. Okay, Let me get the rest of these done. So here it is, finished again, up on the design wall. Now you have a lot more with these outer blocks. They're not hard, they're squares with the little borders around them. But if you get this part done and want to continue working, then go ahead and cut the squares out for all the way around, and you can start working on that. Depends on what your, of course, what your other projects are. Some of you are like me, you're kind of working on these each one once a week, and some of you are, you know, working on less projects, and so you might just keep going right through and work on it. But next week I will be talking about the squares, and that'll be what we do for Nature Walk. So all right, my friend, cheers to you with your favorite drink and celebrating Donut Week. Go and visit both Hillary and Beth today at their websites, and tomorrow come back to the video and I will be doing 2 more people on the tour. You can see the whole list of tour designers at my website today when you go over there. So that'll give you everything. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell, which will give you a notice whenever the new video comes out. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.